applications, they ask for this HCAO number. And this is the treasure, national treasure of herbarium in our division. And ITCC, and here we are almost more than 4,000 cultures, as I told you, we are maintaining under different preservative methods, and these are all available here. And we also have the it is recognized by the World Federation of Cultural Collections, and even the Central Insecticide Board also. And here, as I told you, here also, if it is a culturable fungus, you have to deposit here, so that we can confirm whether whatever you have identified, then only you can publish in reputed journals. So that is the importance of this ITCC and HCAO, which we have in our division. And this is, you can see, these are the activities: conservation, preservation, maintenance, identification, supply services, taxonomic investigations, and documentation. Taxonomic investigations, what we have with us, those cultures, we want to utilize them, and then we see the taxonomic studies, we do the taxonomic studies on those cultures. And this is the conservation, preservation, and maintenance at HCAO. These are the different groups of fungi which we are maintaining now. And this is the preservation of these fungal specimens. And here you can see all the data is available here, who had collected and what is the name of the host and what is the name of the fungus, and year of collection, and all the data will be available here. This is how we are maintaining in the compactors the specimens. And these are the fungal groups we have in ITCC. And this is the preservation part of what I was telling you, regular transfer also, and also paraffin oil, lyophilization. And these are the services, we do the service. We also supply the cultures to different organizations on request. And also we also do the identification if you have, because in each and every lab the facilities may not be there. And also the ITCC, since it is recognized one, once it is identified here, that means it is an authentic. So we get the cultures from all over the India, and we do the identification and we send you the report. Of course, on payment basis only, but this is the service we are rendering at ITCC and HCAO. And coming to polyphasic taxonomy, what is polyphasic taxonomy? Because for taxonomic studies, you need as many number of characters as possible to put them in a some classification. So for that purpose, earlier since may not be the facilities, may not be the available, or expertise may not be the available, but it was started as a morphological characterization. So till recent years we were doing only the morphological characterization, only based on that only the classification is being done and it was going on. But day by day the number of cultures, the number of fungi are also increasing. So because and also there are so many fungi, and we are not able to differentiate them only based on the morphological characters, because very near characters are also available with some other fungus. So that's how the morphology alone will not be enough to differentiate these fungi. For that purpose, now the molecular characterization has been started. So how at a genetic level also they are different. So, and polyphasic means it is integration of as many characters as possible, like morphology and molecular. In some cases, I will give one example also, in some cases even chemotaxonomy. The secondary metabolites produced by some of the fungi, how they are different from one species to another species. So that's how this is a polyphasic taxonomy. Both the phenotypic and genotypic methods will be taken in here, and if possible even chemo also. And as I was telling you, morphology alone will not be sufficient. So we have to consider as many methods as possible for doing this taxonomic work of this fungi. So now I'll give you some examples like a Chaetomium. Here we have done whatever the work we have done in our laboratory, only I am going to tell you. And here Chaetomium, we have done here morphology and molecular together, and we have established the character finally. And in case of Curvularia bipolaris cochleobolus genera complex, here there was a lot of confusion in genus itself. Curvularia, this bipolaris and cochleobolus, and these are looks like that, almost the same in my morphological level. So that is why what we have done here to resolve that problem. And another one, Aspergillus. Here we have done even chemo also, morphology, molecular, and also the chemotaxonomy. So three together. So another one I have taken here one species complex. Nowadays not only up to species level, even in the species also by the science advances, even some cryptic species in the species itself are being reported. So that we have done with Trichoderma hertzianum in our laboratory, that also I will show you. So these are all comes under polyphasic taxonomy, as many characters as possible. And coming to the chetomium, here this is the morphology. We have also done different media. We have taken different media and which media it grows better, and like that we have done it. And then MEA media, that is malt extract agar, that was the best what we have found in the growth of this chetomium. And we have taken some characters like perithecial characters, terminal hairs, lateral hairs, ascospores. So by taking all these characters, we have done the morphological characterization. After that, we have gone for the molecular characterization by taking the ITS region. So molecular characterization, ITS region, as you all know, so that using that ITS primers, we amplify the region, and then we go for the sequencing, and then we go for the NCBI blast. There we will know the what exactly the species is based on the NCBI database. So now we are comparing that molecular identification and also the morphology, and then we are going back to morphology, and then we are seeing whether it is exactly going through going along with this molecular identification. So when we are coordinating with these two methods, and here you can see the identification based on morphology and ITS identification based on NCBI database. So that way we have compared both the morphological and molecular identification, and then finally we have established the characters of morphological characters of different species of chetomium. So now this is not only this particular species is done only not only the morphology, and even at molecular level also this particular species is identified as Chetomium heterobrunium. So now these are the characters. So now you can see these characters, and if you are matching with these characters, then you will know that this is this species. That's how you can identify. So that's how we have established the morphological characters, which may be little different from the which are already reported only based on the morphological characters. So these are the different species you can see here. Okay, like this we have established some of the characters of these different species, and this paper was published. And now we will see one example. We will take the genera complex. So bipolaris and Curvularia, they look alike. Then how to differentiate them? So we have gone for these are the 41 isolates of bipolaris we have taken, which were available with ITCC, and also we have also collected from different culture collections, and then we have finalized these different species genera. Here we are working the level of genera only, and bipolaris and Exerohilum we have differentiated based on the reported literature, and we have gone for the molecular characterization, and we have done the ITS sequences, and based on that we have categorized. I will show you the characters later, and we have categorized the species of different species of bipolaris. And here Curvularia, as bipolaris and Curvularia, maybe Curvularia not that much, but bipolaris, as you know, Helminthosporium, it is a very economically important fungus. And here Curvularia also, because there is a confusion between bipolaris and Curvularia. So we have taken this Curvularia. So we have collected many number of, this is the confusion. See, there is no agreement among the mycologists. Here Curvularia lunata is also called as Cochleobonus lunatus. In some books it is written like this, and some books it was written like that. So that is the confusion till now. So this Curvularia coesis, and this is a helminthosporine coesis, bipolaris coesis. So in the different others have given different names. So to resolve this problem, and we have taken all the bipolaris isolates and also the Curvularia isolates, and this was the confusion which I was telling you. And so 52 isolates of Curvularia we have collected from ITCC, MTCC, and also from Agarkar Research Institute, Pune. And all these we have done the morphological characterization. And according to the literature, this is a simple differentiation of the Curvularia and bipolaris. And this is our work. We have taken these many isolates, collected these many isolates, 52 total, and then all this we have done on morphological basis. We have categorized them by taking different conidia, conidiophore, and mycelial characters. And when we have done the morphological characterization, we grouped them, and then we made the identification based on the reported literature like this, all the isolates. And then we have gone for the molecular identification, and we have used these many even different regions also, not only the ITS, and the different regions also we have taken. And then this is the identification of based on those different regions. This is the identification. This is the morphological identification, and this is the identification based on different regions. So now we integrate these two things, these two identification, and then finally we have established these morphological characters. So by seeing these characters, then you can boldly say that this is the Curvularia area. So based on that both morphological and molecular characterization, reported morphology, and also the molecular which we have done now. So based on both the identifications, we have established this morphological characters for this Curvularia. So up to here it is okay, but there was two species which are very controversial. In both the bipolaris also it is mentioned, and also Curvularia it is mentioned. So these are the two, and then this is bipolar, this is Curvularia spicifera and bipolaris australiensis. These two are confusing, and when we have taken the photographs, and then they are also almost similar. Curvularia hawaiiensis, bipolaris hawaiiensis, it's almost similar when we see under microscope, and also the Curvularia spicifera and bipolaris spicifera, not much difference when we have seen under the microscope. So how to resolve this problem? Then where this spicifera and hawaiiensis, these two species are where they are going, whether they are going to bipolaris or for Curvularia. So for that purpose we have gone for the phylogenetic analysis, and then Cochleobolus is a perfect stage of these both the species. So now when we have gone for this phylogenetic analysis, these two species are going with the Curvularia. So then these two species are going with the Curvularia. That's how we have finalized. We have finalized these three species. One species was already mentioned, and here this spicifera australiensis is already reported. But our first report was spicifera and hawaiiensis are showing by the phylogenetic analysis these three species. These hawaiiensis spicifera are clustering with the Curvularia, not the bipolaris. So now we can say that this is Curvularia spicifera and Curvularia hawaiiensis, not bipolaris. So this is how, this is what a polyphasic taxonomy. So by taking all the characters together, then you can resolve where the species are going. So this much confusion you can resolve. And now taking Aspergillus. Aspergillus, you know, this is an industrial fungi, and then can be used for many production of different enzymes and also some secondary metabolites. And this is we have taken, and also it causes the diseases. Here you see soft rots, and also mostly the post harvest post-harvest diseases it causes. And these isolates we have taken, and then first we have morphologically characterized these species based on the different reported characters. And these are the different morphological characters of different species already reported by Raper and Funnell. And then we have gone for the molecular characterization of the all these isolates, and now we have established based on the morphological and ITS identification beta tubulin. These two regions we have done. So based on that we have differentiated them into 20 different species. And these 20 species again based on the morphology and molecular, and because in each and every laboratory you can't go for the molecular. Many of you I think may not be having the facilities for molecular work also. So by having these seeing these morphological characters, now you can boldly say that this is the particular species. That's how we have established this morphological characterization. So all of you I think you must be having in your training manuals all these pictures. Now these are the different species we have established their characters in Aspergillus. So like this 20 species we have, 21 species we have established. Now in Aspergillus in this case we have also gone further in even chemotaxonomy. So we wanted to see these 20 species. Now we have seen 20 species morphology and also 20 species molecular. We have done ITS and beta tubulin. So together we have established these characters. Now we wanted to see these 20 species whether they produce these secondary metabolites differently. Like whether there is any difference in the secondary metabolite production based on the species. So that's how we have gone for the GCMS analysis for secondary metabolite production. And here you can see there are 18 species which are 1 or 2 chemicals specific to the species. So by seeing that particular chemical, you can say this may be that species. So for confirmation, so for authentic identification. So this is one of the characters, and 2 species, that is Aspergillus justus and Tereus, they were not showing any difference in the chemical production. So some of them are also producing the antimicrobial metabolites, and that is not necessary here. And here what I want to say is even the chemical production, secondary metabolite production also different in case of Aspergillus, different in each species. Now as I was telling you, cryptic species in recent years, now the species complex is coming up. So some cryptic species are being reported. So based on the literature, now we have also started working on cryptic species. I think most of you must be knowing Trichoderma. And even Trichoderma also, you might have heard of Trichoderma viridi, Trichoderma what else? Trichoderma harzianum, Trichoderma asperellum, and one thing you can also remember, even though it is not concerned here, Trichoderma viridi is not available in India. Even if somebody says that Trichoderma viridi, we have to go for their proper studies. That is Trichoderma asperellum only. There is a very, the morphology is very similar to the Trichoderma viridi and asperellum. But when you go for the molecular and only based on the morphology, viridi and asperellum are very difficult to differentiate. But only the chlamydospores production. So now unless and until one will go for the molecular and then can't say this is viridi. So if in your laboratories and anybody is working, then you can suggest them. If it is mentioned as a viridi, then they have to be very careful. And since we have done the studies regarding this viridi and asperellum here in our laboratory, I am telling you because many laboratories nowadays Trichoderma work is going on, and then most of the cases they are reporting it as a viridi. So it is not the case, and all database we have seen in NCBI also, they are all not valid, and somehow it was wrongly put by the Indian workers, that we are publishing also. So now if anybody says Trichoderma viridi, then you can suggest them to go for further correct analysis of this taxonomy, then only they can announce it as a Trichoderma viridi. But anyway, so after Trichoderma, Trichoderma harzianum is one of the very important fungus. Why? Because it is used in the biological control. So you might have heard so many formulations are coming up in the market as a Trichoderma, in the name of Trichoderma harzianum. But we have studied some cryptic species specific. It is not Trichoderma harzianum. It is some more species whatever we have in India, we have established. So these are that name. Now what we are going to do, all the formulations which are available in the name of harzianum, that we are going to take, and then based on this work we are going to analyze, and then going to tell what exactly the species is. If it is harzianum, okay, even in this cryptic species harzianum is also there. If it is harzianum equo, otherwise some other species of harzianum complex. So how we have done this? By taking the morphological characters. This is a simple harzianum character. So these cryptic species cannot be differentiated only based on morphology. So there are some overlapping characters. So that's why we have to go for the molecular characterization, and so these are the isolates we have taken. These are all harzianum isolates, and they were deposited in the name of harzianum. They have done only the morphology. Based on morphology, they were identified as harzianum and then deposited. Those isolates we have taken, and we have also collected some of the isolates. And this we have done their conidiophore and also phyllid characters for all the, and also the spore characterization we have done, and then we have grouped them. So based on their morphological characters, and then these are the group even cultural characters also, that means growth and all, and also the phyllates and also the spores, we have grouped them. And in grouping, see here, if you see here there are how many? 5 groups based on the culture, and based on the this phyllid character, it's only 3, and here based on the spore it is only 4. So that's how, because there are some overlapping characters. Now you will know, because there are 5 groups and here are 3 groups and again 4 groups. That means the characters are not completely differentiated based on the morphology. So that's how we have gone for the molecular. We have done the molecular characterization, and we have gone for the TEF analysis and also the ITS analysis, and we have seen which the morphological identification is this, and then ITS identification and TEF identification. So TEF identification is mostly matching with the morphological characters. So that's why we have gone for the phylogenetic analysis based on the TEF sequences. Here they are showing different species, because here we have already blasted and identified these species. So these species directly we have put the phylogenetic analysis, and whether they are differentiating from one species to another species. And then now again we went back, and then based on this morphology and molecular, even though there are some overlapping characters, we have established these characters for different species. These are called cryptic species within the species, cryptic species of Trichoderma harzianum. So these are some of the Heteroprunium, Inhematum, Riphae. So this is this. So that's how these are this is up to here, you can say this is the polyphasic taxonomy, having as many characters as possible to go for the taxonomic characterization of any fungus. Now I will give a brief introduction about DNA barcoding. What is DNA barcoding? So DNA barcoding is, it is a DNA barcoding is the use of short standardized segments of the genome for identification of species in the kingdom of life. It is a smallest region where we can go for the identification. So that is why what we will do, based on the literature, we have gone for different regions. So then which region is the best for differentiation of the species? This is done at a species level. Like in each genus we have species, which I have shown. Curvularia, there are so many species, and Trichoderma we have so many species, Bipolaris, that way we have so many species. So species level, for species level differentiation, for accurate differentiation, we have to go for different region analysis. So in these regions, now finally based on the some calculations, based on the DNA, barcode gap and all, we have to finalize which region is the best for identification. So once it is finalized, by using just 3-4 species, we finalize the best region. So using that region, for other species, you need not to go for all the regions analysis for all the species. Just by using the 3-4 species, we came out with one best region. So that region you can use for further analysis of the species of the same genus. So that is finalizing that barcode. Based on that region sequences, we put the barcode. We make the barcode so that this is the characters of that particular species. And we have done different regions. I will give you one example here, Curvularia. For Curvularia, we wanted to go for DNA barcoding of Curvularia. So ITS region we have sequenced, and LSU, SSU regions we have amplified and sequenced. And this is LSU region, and this is SSU region, and this is the TEF region. And we have compared all these regions. So this is the comparison of all these regions. Now we want to select which region is the best, so that we can directly go to that region. We need not to always compare all the regions. So we, by taking this, we have finalized the region, and so based on this, we have gone for the calculation of this. Based on this success rate of PCR and barcode gap, and then probability of correct identification. Based on these things, we will finalize which region is the best for the identification of any species. So this is the success rate of PCR, and this is the barcode gap, and here the barcode gap where in which region it is. Here we have compared the GPTH, ITS, LSU, SSU and TEF, and the barcode gap is high at ITS region. So that means this region is the best for the differentiation of these species in Curvularia. So this region we go for barcoding. So hereafter we any Curvularia species, even if you identify either new one or any one, so just go for ITS identification. That will be the best. So in some of the cases we have done Trichoderma, it is beta tubulin. So that way they different for different fungi, different regions. But in this case here it is ITS region is the best for the identification, for differentiation of the species. And this is the barcodes. We have submitted those barcodes in the bold, that is database, barcode of life database. So this is the barcoding. So now finally what we have learned today is about our mycology division, and what we have here, our show windows, and how they are useful to you. You can acquire any fungus if you want from here. So our catalog is online, and there you can see what are the fungi available in ITCC or in HCIO, and based on that you can order here, and then you can buy from here. And also at the same time, when you are working with your own fungi, if you are unable to identify in your own labs, and then you can send them here, and then you can get it identified, and then that information you can use in your thesis and all. And that is the main service part of our mycology division here. and also now polyphasic taxonomy, and of the examples in different fungi what we have done in this area of polyphasic taxonomy, and all these papers are published also. And then little bit of DNA barcoding, what is DNA barcoding, and then how we how to go for the DNA barcoding study. So if you have anything, I mean regarding this, any doubts or anything to know here, you are welcome. And not only now, we are there, I sit in room number 30, and anytime if you have any, I mean anything, any doubts or any clarifications, you can come anytime there. Hope your I mean stay and all, everything is okay here. You are happy? It's okay now? Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Please.
I want to know how cryptic species evolve.
Cryptic species evolve means, see, it is only the survey. Day by day the survey is more and more. Now people are collecting, and then when we go for phylogenetic analysis only, we will know about that cryptic species, because cryptic species is nothing but then only at a genetic level they are different, but when you see the morphology they are same. That's how this Trichoderma harrisianum, morphologically they are all same, so we put them as a Trichoderma harrisianum. Now with the literature and then day by day studies, because the nowadays molecular has become more and more, earlier it was not there. So that's how, since it is coming up, so then they have analyzed more and more, even at a species level also, then they are finding more number of cryptic species. Cryptic species means morphologically you cannot identify, and only when you go for molecular level, then you will find more and more species in that species itself. That's how. It is only because the advancement of this molecular taxonomy. The cryptic species now we are learning, and then we are these are we are reporting. They are already there, but since the studies were not there earlier, we were not knowing. But now this molecular taxonomy has come up so well, molecular work. So that's how we are able to know now. So it will go, the advancement will go further. You may see some more things in later stages because of this molecular taxonomy. Because morphology is a broad characters, whereas molecular, even a single base pair make difference. So that's how they are coming up.
Ma'am, what is barcode gap?
This barcode gap is this is an analysis actually. This is a gap between among the species or among the isolates. Suppose you have taken Trichoderma harrisianum 5 isolates, Trichoderma virens 5 isolates. So the difference between the isolates is lesser than the difference between the species. So that is why barcoding is mostly for the species, for the two species level identification. So if the species level identification is more, the gap is more than the isolate gap, then that is more, that is a barcode gap. This is a ratio of the distance between the species to the distance within the species. Within the species means between the isolates.
Then how can we differentiate this cryptic species molecularly? What is the difference between two cryptic species of the same genus?
It's a phylogenetic analysis. You will be doing the region analysis. You will be sequencing. So based on the sequences, you go for the phylogenetic analysis. There, how much it is showing, where it is going. So that's how we'll identify that.
I'm using different marker. We give
Different
different markers like
markers. Okay, okay.
I use ITS and beta tubulins.
Okay.
When I'm using plus,
Okay.
different genus was there.
Different genes.
Was there. That's mean for ITS, it's giving me like this Bacillomyces. When I use again, DNA and PCR again I prepare by using pitajubilin is giving me thalidomide, another genus by using plasmid.
It depends on the database, like how the data was already given there. So there are errors. There are so many complaints regarding this data NCBI database because they were not taking much criteria when they were depositing those sequences. So nowadays that is that is why people are looking for some other database so that the accurate identification they can get. So that is why when we see that it's better to go back to morphology and then compare. So that's why I told you in one of the slides ITS and beta tubulin. So which one is going more to the morphological identification. So that's how that region we will consider and then we establish the morphological characters. Okay, no questions? Thank you.